So looking at your design here, that looks like a halfway successful loft, but only really halfway, because the shape doesn't really resemble what you're looking for. It looks somewhat similar to that airplane fuselage, but not completely. And there are several reasons for that. First of all, you're using probably too many spline points, but definitely way too many profiles to accomplish this. Also, your profiles are way too complex because they cover more than one basic or more than one primary shape. And that's really the key. This isn't really that complicated of a shape if you're able to dissect this into more than one different shapes. And I'm going to explain that on an example. So this here also, looks somewhat similar, like part of a fuselage and part of a canopy here or cockpit, but it's really not just one simple shape. It's two totally separate lofts. And that loft doesn't start here, but let me show you how I did this. So, and I'm also going to turn on inspect component color cycling so I can get rid of that black. The first thing I do, I create my basic shapes. So my first basic shape is actually my fuselage. So I create a sketch, I create an offset construction plane and another sketch. So I have these two ellipses, and then I basically loft between those two ellipses. And the way I get that curvature or that kind of bow shape into that loft, I change that from connected to direction, and that provides me here with a rotation handle that allows me to change this here. And you have two of those. You have one here for the starting profile, one for the ending profile, and you can also change the weight here. I didn't do that, so I'm going to cancel that out. So I have this. This is one of my primary shapes. So then the next thing is I want to create my second primary shape. That's my cockpit. So I create another offset plane, a sketch on that offset plane. I create another sketch, and then I create another loft. So let me turn off. Where did that go? So I think my display has changed here. And I need my edges back. That is very funky. Where are my edges? Well, there should be an edge, but it doesn't show that to me right now. Oh, no, there shouldn't be an edge. There isn't an edge because I haven't trimmed those shapes yet. So now I have trimmed those shapes because, let me undo those trims. This shape is still closed, and this shape still extends into this shape. So then I trim these unneeded parts away, and I have two shapes that align perfectly here at the seam. And once they do that, I can stitch them together, and then I have only one body left here. And those are my two primary shapes, and I have a sharp corner. So then I can go ahead and blend those shapes. And you would do the same in your model. And you can do that with another loft, or in this case, I'm just doing that quickly and cheaply with a fillet. If you would want to do this with a loft, you need sketches that define profiles where you want to trim these bodies, and then you can loft between two edges. And then once you loft between those two edges, that was another question that you asked, you have these continuity settings, tangent and curvature G2 that you can check. But in order to have those, you have to loft between edges of surfaces or solid bodies, because otherwise you don't get those. You only get connected on end direction. So anyway, those are my two primary shapes. And when you go back into the render workspace, where I don't see edges right now, it looks like one body, but it really isn't one body. It's two primary shapes and a blend shape, this one here. And you can do that same thing here. Your fuselage here, that long slender body here, that's one primary shape. Your cockpit is the other primary shape, and I would say those air inlets here are the third primary shape. So once you create the surfaces for those and trim those away, you need to create those so that they completely intersect. And then you can trim those away, and then you can actually blend them together. And then you will find that lofting this shape is actually fairly straightforward. I mean, lofting instead of T-splines. So hopefully this helps.